Hey everyone, Ben here and welcome to a traumatic final round of the iRacing 2023 Season 2 Formula 3 season. We've qualified P12 of 17 in the top split, but don't be fooled by that. 4 drivers didn't qualify and we're struggling for pace from the get-go. Let's get down to the grid and see what I can salvage. Right then, here we go, awaiting the lights and full of a bit of trepidation. The opening lap here at Silverstone, notoriously challenging, and we've got a very cold track, so the car is going to lack grip even more than it normally does on the opening lap, but we get a decent start away from the lights there, closing in on the car ahead. But look behind, McDonald has had an even better start. He's down my inside, I've got to give him space. Thankfully we've got space on the outside. One car already round up ahead. That looks like Roy Castien, the pole sitter. He's going to be trying to recover then, and we are 3 wide heading into the right hander and into this very tricky complex of corners. Gonna have to keep it very tight to the apex here. We're able to avoid any collisions. Another driver, Sousa, off up ahead, and thankfully he cleared the track before we arrived and I was able to get through without any damage. No incident points, and we're now tucked underneath the rear wing of Farilli as we're coming through into the middle of the lap. We've got a little bit of breathing space behind for now, but that's Castien in my rear view mirror there. He's going to be looking to get back through this field as quickly as he can. He's significantly faster than I am, and you can see that already as we exit onto the old pit straight. Look at how much quicker his exit from that corner is. He's going to be down my inside before we even get to Copse. I'm not going to fight him on this one. All I would succeed in doing is holding myself up so I give him room on the inside, and I'm now going to try and follow him through Maggots and Beckett's and onto the hangar straight for the first time. But I've got to have eyes peeled and sensors on high alert, because if anybody loses it on cold tyres and cold brakes through this part of the track, it can be a huge accident. But it looks like most have gotten through all right. We started in 12th, we're now up to 11th position despite losing that position to Castien because of other accidents on that opening lap. We were able to pick our path through and get through unscathed and can now start thinking about the rest of the race. But here's how Castien came to grief on the very first corner, just overestimating the grip that those rear tyres were going to give him. And then this is the other accident up ahead. Sousa getting it wrong through the loop there, and look at that behind. McDonald gets it wrong too. 2 drivers spinning out at turn 3. On to the beginning of lap 2 then, and we're keeping in touch with the drivers up ahead. That's Farilli and Castien, and Le Petit just up ahead of him. We've got Perez, Scott and Zhu behind us. We're coming through the left-hander once again then and into the slowest section of the lap, and we've got a yellow flag out. Somebody is rejoining, and that's Rafael Munoz. He had inherited the lead, one of the fastest drivers on the grid, 5k rated, and he's rejoining just in behind me. Now again, he is going to be so much faster than I am, providing he hasn't picked up any damage, and you can see he's already closing in the slipstream. He's shaped to the inside. I'm not going to defend it, but because I've gone out wide, Brian Perez fancies a chance down the inside as well. We're side by side coming into the very tight right-hander. I'm going to hold tight to the apex. Perez forced to the outside, and actually he's going to lose a position by the looks of things to Keegan Scott. But how did Munoz come to grief? He's been tagged around by Christian Walter in P2. That's big controversy. And then we were also helped out later on in that lap as Le Petit just misjudges his turn in through the high speed section and ends up crashing out of the race. So all of which, as we get onto lap 4, has put us up into the top 10, but I'm still struggling for pace versus those around me. Perez once again putting on pressure into the complex of corners. We managed to defend him through the right hander, but I've left the door open into the left hander, and that now is going to put me side by side on exit. He's surely going to have the pace to challenge, and there he is. He's gone through, and I've now got Keegan Scott behind me as well. I'm going to shape to the inside to try and get that position straight back. Scott makes it 3 wide. I'm going to give him space on the inside, and he very nearly comes together with Perez too. They're going to be side by side coming through the right hander, and now we've got Zhu behind as well looking to join in. This is frantic racing here in the opening stages at Silverstone, and to be honest with you, I still don't feel like I've got confidence in the grip of my tyres. This cold track is really playing havoc, and they're side by side up ahead. Look at that, we're going to close right in on Scott. I'm going to be brave, I'm going to try and force my way down the inside. He pushes me right up onto the grass verge, but I'm able to hold it, and I've got one of those two positions back. We're still side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. This is not the place on the track that you want to be doing that, but we're able to hold the position. Slight snap of oversteer on the exit, and now I'm going to have to defend against him as we're coming down the hanger straight. All of this has allowed Perez to get away, but we are side by side. I've got the inside line for the corner at the end of the long straight here. I'm going to try and hold to the inside and force Scott out to the outside. He's not able to hold it around the corner. We hold the position once more, and now we're coming towards the end of the lap here. I'm going to get on the brakes. Oh, look at that, a late dive down my inside. We have to give him space. We're side by side again through the right-hander, and unfortunately for me, he's able to carry more speed through the corner exit. Wow, what a bit of racing action. Unfortunately, despite trying to fight back, we weren't able to hold the position from Scott. Here's another look at the latter end of that battle. Side by side racing, very clean, great stuff. Aggressive from both of us, but within reason. And then as we're approaching the last big braking zone of the lap, I feel like I've got enough gap back to him, so I leave the door open, but then he lunges down the inside. He gets the car slowed down, gives me plenty of space on what would become the inside of the next corner, but I'm pinched to the apex. He's able to carry more speed, and the position is his. We're on to lap 5 then, and I am just about keeping in touch with the drivers up ahead, but I've got Zoo challenging from behind, and this is where the trauma is really starting to develop in this race. I'm just sliding backwards. I don't ultimately have the pace and the confidence in the car on this day to keep these drivers behind. He's side by side, then Zoo down my inside. I'm holding on with everything that I've got. I don't want to just give these positions away. I'm trying to fight and hang on, but it's getting increasingly difficult to do so. Again, on to lap 6, and I'm still being hounded from behind. I'm losing at least a few tenths a lap to the drivers around me here, even though we're in the bottom third of the field, and I just can't keep pace. It feels like I don't have the grip of those around me, but I'm sure that's more a driving style problem than anything else. Zoo down my inside again then as we're coming into the right-hander. He's going to be on the outside. That's going to give me a chance to defend, but you can see he's lining up for a better exit down the old pit straight, and it looks like he's going to be tucked into my slipstream and potentially get one. He maximises the track there through the right-hand kink. Surely he's not going to try a dive down into Copse. He is. We're going to be side by side through Copse. Not what you want to be doing at all. Thankfully, we were able to hold it around the outside, and in fairness to him, he gave me the space on the outside, but you don't have to be a big follower of Formula 1 to know that plenty of controversial accidents have happened through this corner. Thankfully, we didn't come together as Zoo just pulled out. Unfortunately for him, he ended up losing a position to Sousa there, and even more unfortunately, at the end of this lap, he would get taken out by a driver behind, misjudging his braking, really compromising his race. We're on to lap 7 then, and now we're under pressure from a different driver behind, so we're still falling backwards from the rest of the field. And in the cockpit, I'm just a little bit perplexed as to why this is happening. We've left the door open there for him to get past, but to be honest, I'm just losing confidence in the cockpit here as to whether I am able to fight for position. And even then, on the exit of the corner, you could see he'd already started to pull away. On to lap 9 then, and now we're being closed in on by the recovering McDonald, one of the faster drivers on the grid, and he's going to be down my inside as well, and he's going to be clean past. He'd reeled me in by about a second and a bit per lap, so again, the prospects of fighting him for position on track, not good. And we're now on to lap 11, and I'm really now just focused on bringing the car home. We've slipped almost all the way to the back of the grid, but there's a yellow flag. One driver lost it up ahead, and that's Keegan Scott. You can see him there on the left hand side. What's happened there then? Let's take a look at it on the replay, and it turns out I'm not the only one to be struggling with these tyres. Take a look at this. He loops it under no pressure. Farilli ends up making a bit of contact as well. That's going to be Keegan Scott's race over Up ahead, we benefited again from drivers coming together, this time Shibuya making a move on Vatanen, so that's going to be another couple of positions we've picked up just by being able to keep the car on track. But don't be fooled by our position in this race. We have not had good pace. We're coming through onto the final lap, and Farilli there, who we saw make contact with Keegan Scott, potentially because he's carrying damage, has looped it on the final turn. So we're actually going to get 12th position in this race, but I've never crossed the finish line feeling like we didn't deserve a position more than that one. We just lucked in there by being able to pick up on a few drivers' accidents towards the end of that race. The big story was, despite having some really good speed through this Formula 3 season, this was probably my worst race of the calendar. In the end, you can see I just didn't have the underlying speed and confidence in the car that other drivers on the grid had, and that's reflected in the classified results. So a humbling and somewhat traumatic end to the season. The video up on screen highlights that we have been at least a bit competitive through other races, but now I'm focused on what comes next. Let me know in the comments what series you'd like to see me major on in the new season of iRacing, which kicks off in just a couple of weeks' time.